Do not tell her to cool off. No, man, don't do that. It's not gonna produce good results. You want to. All right, what's up, Bulldogs? I got this question. There's a comment on this video I did on how to discipline women, and it's about this guy's wife yelling at him. I thought I would do a quick video on this to kind of break this down because it's kind of disturbing. But I replied, I think, to this, but I wanted to really kind of break this down a little bit so we could talk about this. So he says here, when my wife every now and then starts yelling, cursing, etc., due to some, in my humble opinion, not that big of an issue. Previously, I had tried to talk reasonably with her, but nothing changed. The reason and target of her fury is sometimes me, but more often it's our teenage son who can be lazy to study, and if I tell her to cool off, then she redirects her rage at me or anyone else just trying to stop her. After she cools off, she behaves like nothing happened. My strategy is to just move to another room and just ignore her, but she then still comes at me or our son to deliver her thing fully. I could try practicing this showing limit strategy, but I really think it would fall on deaf ears and she would still do her thing. Maybe leaving an apartment for half an hour would do something, or go to counseling since this is not the only issue we have. No marriage is perfect. I can divorce her, of course, which is also an option, but I feel that I need to first try and fix things. John, any further advice is welcome. Yeah, okay, so first thing first is that do not tell her to cool off. No, man, don't do that. It's not gonna produce good results. You want to be empathetic and you want to make sure that you are validating her emotions, right? A woman it's not about right or wrong. It's about her caring that you care about how she feels. That's, I could say this 1,000 times and it won't be enough because this is how women operate. Most of the time when a woman is upset, it's because she's not feeling loved in that moment by you. And you can fix it by making her feel loved. You got to figure out how to do that. It's not just a cookie cutter solution, but you can know what the source is, right? So what's happening here? All right, he says that she'll start yelling and cursing. I've tried to talk reasonably with her, but nothing changed. The reason and the target of fury is sometimes me, but okay. So here's the thing. She's got an anger management problem. That's true, right? And I've dealt with this before, believe me, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I know 100% exactly what you're talking about. However, I can tell you from experience that I handled this the wrong way in the past, because what I would try to do is logic this, just like you're trying to do, and say, okay, look, calm down. Let's talk about what's going on. And you're still gonna get yelled at and cursed at, right? So instead, what you wanna do is not try to logic this. Instead, two things, right? So first of all, the cursing and yelling at you, that's not acceptable. However, you're in this weird condition where perhaps your wife doesn't feel like she's heard. That's why usually a person yells and curses. They feel like their emotional needs are not being met. Again, it's not an excuse. This is behavior that is not acceptable. However, you might start off by doing it a little bit more gently by saying, oh wow, I can see you're really angry right now. You're really upset. It seems like maybe you're upset because Bobby, he's not doing his work and that frustrates you. Is that right? Most of the time, even if she starts off yelling, if you say something like that, it's going to de-escalate the situation. I did a video on de-escalating the situation. You can watch that. But you understand what I'm saying is that she's less likely to respond with more cursing and yelling. Now, she might a little bit, but even then she does. Okay, so then you say, oh wow, yeah, okay, yeah, I can see you're really upset about that. Yeah, tell me about like what's upsetting you about that? Like what do you feel like is going on there, right? Yeah, I don't want you to feel like that. I don't want you to be upset. Yeah, I would feel the same way if I was in your situation, if that happened to me. This is empathy. This is validating her emotions. So that's the approach that you want to take, and then you can give her some guidance, right? Essentially, when this situation happens, you want to breathe first, and then you want to resist responding or defending yourself or using logic or reason at this point. And then what you want to do is you want to empathize, validate her emotions. That's how you're going to get her to calm down. You're not going to say calm down. And then, only then, after you've done that, then you're going to provide guidance and correction, right? Then you might say, hey, look, now that we've done this and she's now in this loving state, which again, you have to allow her to fully express these emotions before she's going to get into this loving state, then she's going to appreciate you, especially if you haven't done this before and you've tried to resist her and block her and tell her she's wrong or make her feel wrong for feeling these things, which again, she is wrong. Okay, but making a person feel that they're wrong when they're wrong doesn't help the situation. So once she gets to that state, then you can start to say, look, I would really appreciate it if in the future, when you have an issue that you can be upset about it, that's totally fine. But yelling at me, cursing at me, that's not acceptable to me. me. So I'd really appreciate it if you showed me the respect of coming and having conversation. I'd be happy to listen to you, to hear how you're feeling, to empathize with that, and to be a sounding board where you can tell me your frustrations and your upset. But just if you could express it to me in a respectful way, then that would be meaningful to me. Again, I'm giving you the light version to start with, right? However, not everyone is going to respond well to all of these things, and it may still continue. In which case, now you have to be a little bit more hard, right? Now you have to say, look, here's a boundary, right? You got to draw the boundary and say, you might even have to stop her and say, okay, like she comes in yelling or screaming or cursing at you, and you say, hold on, I would be happy to talk to you about this, to listen to you, for you to share to me how you're feeling. I want to hear it. I care about how you feel. However, speaking to me in this way, I perceive it as disrespectful, even if I know you probably don't intend it to be. And if you do this, if you yell at me or you curse at me, I'm going to not continue the conversation. I will leave the room. If you follow me, I will leave the house, right? Again, you might not need to say, I'll leave the room, I'll leave the house. You can just say, I will not have this conversation. Then again, she starts yelling and she's like, what the hell, blah, 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 fuck you, I don't care. Go ahead, you're gonna just cop out, you're just gonna be a wuss like you always do, blah, 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 right? Abuse, peace out. That's when you say, okay, it's your choice. When you're ready to talk in a way that's respectful to me, then we'll talk, then you leave. Now she follows you. Then you say, look, I've already told you, I'm not mad at you. What you're doing is disrespectful to me, and this is my boundary. Or you can just say, okay, if you continue to do this, at this point, I'm gonna leave the house. And these are consequences you have to follow through. Don't make threats, take actions. In fact, you might not even just say anything, but make sure it's not punitive. Make sure it's not done with anger. Otherwise you ruin the whole thing, because then it's like she's emotionally manipulating you in order to get her way. You don't want to allow that to happen, and don't engage. Only reinforce your boundary. Now, what happens when this doesn't work and this continues to go on? That's when you pack your bags for a few days. Honestly, this is something I wish I would have done when I was in the situation, because I tried a lot of different things. I probably didn't handle it as well as I'm telling you now, but you pack your bags for a few days. When you say, all right, at this point where things are with this relationship, I'm not happy. I've expressed to you the things that I'm upset about, that I need to be resolved. In order for me to be in this relationship, this is what I need. I need this. And you can list those things and say, I'm gonna take a couple of days, I'm gonna be gone. We can reassess the situation. Now, you take a few days, if you do have to do this and move out, you still take care of the kids. You still do your responsibilities, but you leave the house, okay? Hard thing to do, for sure, but it's a wake-up call. And at this point, if this woman is not responding and you are doing everything that you're doing out of love, not anger, you're not engaging into the negativity, and you're speaking in love and you're saying, hey, I love you. However, I need these things, and you're not cooperating with them. I want to work with you. If that's the spirit that you're coming across, again, you might think this is weak. This is not weak at all, because you're following through on your actions. It's very strong to follow through on your actions. And then if she's still not responding after all this, then yeah, then it may be time to really actually get the divorce or actually separate. Again, I would not take this lightly at all. But if you have someone who is not responding at all and you're doing these things, then that's the truth. But it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna get there. As long as you can do what I'm saying and executing that, you're not gonna get to this place. You wouldn't have gotten married in the first place. You wouldn't have been together for this long. Basically, for her to not respond at this point, I mean, she doesn't love you at all. She doesn't care at all. There's some deeper issues then if that's she's already given up. In which case, yeah, maybe you do need to have some heart-to-heart with her to get to let her heal her wounds, which you still probably need to do. But do not go to marriage counseling. It's not gonna turn out good. Marriage counselors do not know, for the most part, don't know what the hell they're doing. Definitely, if you haven't checked out the video already on de-escalating conflict, I would check that out. Put the link down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.